Hey guys, what's up? Daniel here. Today we're comparing the iPad Air 2, the iPad Air, and the iPad 3. Now we're going to do some physical comparisons first, and then we'll do some software comparisons and a few benchmarks towards the end. So let's go ahead and get started here with the hardware comparisons and what's different with the new iPad Air 2 compared to the last model and then the model before that, which is kind of the same as the iPad 4. So so first off, if we take a closer look here, you can see that the actual speakers here are now a lot like that of the iPhone 6, which are just circular and a lot more simple. And we get rid of that, very kind of messy speaker grill. And these are supposed to be also a lot better than those on the iPad Air. Here on the right side of the device, we have the volume rocker, which if we take a closer look right there, around there, I don't know if you can see that, we no longer have the volume rocker. We don't have the mute switch, and then the volume rocker is the same as that on the iPhone 6, which has that kind of gap in the middle, and we don't have the gap here, which I prefer kind of like this last generation one, but they changed it up, but it's fine. On the top, we of course still have the lock button, and let's see if you can see that, the lock buttons and the headphone jack. And on the left side, we don't have anything. All right, so now taking a closer look at the backs here, we do have a ring around the old generation, and we don't have one anymore here. It's a little bit more simpler on the back there. This still says iPad, and aside from that, there's not any notable difference, except for of course the thinness, which is about a millimeter thinner than the last generation iPad Air, which I don't know if you can really tell on camera. You kind of have to really hold it and compare them side by side to really see how much thinner and lighter it is than the regular iPad Air. But you can palm it, of course, just like you can palm this one and then you can palm this one. It's slightly even easier to palm, as you can see here. It's definitely not comfortable unless you have huge hands, but it's doable. And you of course have the difference of the screen, which gets rid of 3 layers and turns that into 1 layer, which kind of is what helps the iPad Air 2 be a lot thinner than the iPad Air. But now let's compare it here to the iPad 3, which is a whole different story because this is a lot bigger, a lot thicker, a lot heavier in every single way. Here's how much the bezel's changed. And that's not just in the iPad Air 2. This is, of course, also on the iPad Air, the differences between the 3 and the Air. But we're using the iPad Air 2 right here. You can kind of see how different that is. Now, of course, in slimness, it's, this one's extremely hard to hold with one hand, and it's also very heavy compared to this. This is just not portable, not nearly as portable as this one up here. You of course have better specs in every single way. On the top one, the camera has improved, and pretty much everything else has improved. So as far as heavy users go with editing tools, photos, videos, and all that good stuff, this iPad's probably going to be the way to go. Especially if you're upgrading from the iPad 3, this is going to be a completely different experience. Now, if you're upgrading from the iPad Air, it's going to be a very kind of, the same experience. You just spent another $500 to upgrade. But if you can sell the old iPad Air for a good price, then it's definitely something I recommend. You're not going to lose too much money on it, and you'll pretty much be good for a couple of years. Now, of course, Apple's going to release another one next year, and probably with a little bit more, design changes, maybe even bigger. So if you can hold out, I recommend waiting for next year or whatever the next iPad is, or a tablet computer that Apple releases. But that's kind of like a quick comparison here on the hardware. Now let's go ahead and go into the software and see the speed differences between the 3. All right, so here we have Geekbench open. We have the iPad Air 2, the iPad Air, and the iPad 3. So we're going to run the processor benchmark. You can see here that this has 1.94 gigabytes of RAM. This has 975, and that one has 968. So you, of course, or 988, sorry. Now, you of course do have, twice as much on this, so it should run a whole lot faster. And this is going to be true for pretty much on whichever app you're in. RAM always pretty much increases the amount that increases the speed that your device can run at. So yeah, let's wait for this to finish here and see the score. Now, I'm not a big believer of scores. You really shouldn't judge it by this. There's of course tablets with much more score than this, but don't perform as well, and also less score than this, and won't perform as well. Now, of course, there's others that will perform better, depending on what you like. So we still got this one going here. We got 4528 over there, 2655 here, and that's still going over there. And that's pretty much the number that you can run up on your tablet and see if you do rely on Geekbench. But yeah, as far as the glare goes, it's kind of amazing how little glare this has, the iPad Air 2 has, compared to the iPad Air. And of course that one over there. The whites on these two, especially this one, or they might be a little bit alike on here, but on this one, they don't look anything like these two. This white just looks washed out, and it just looks very weird. If you have an iPad 3, I don't recommend upgrading it to iOS 8 because I don't know why, but it really did get much slower. And as far as the glare goes on this, which I wanted to point out, it looks way better on here. I mean, way better. The glare is, from this angle that I'm standing up behind the camera, I see zero glare over here, and I definitely see a lot of glare on these two. And then the white on this looks horrible compared to the whites on these two over here. So there's definitely improvements in terms of the glare category. If you get annoyed by glare, this is definitely going to be the one to pick up. But yeah, there we go. We got 380 on that one. So you can get an idea there. It's not very good. That's a multi-core score, and you can maybe see the other scores there. But yeah, that's that. So let's go ahead and try some Safari searches so we can see how much faster that is. And we'll pretty much conclude our test there. Just do some regular surfing. All right, so for the first browse, we're going to go ahead and go to Google on the iPad Air 2 and the iPad Air at the same time. When you can see this one loaded up much quicker. Now let me go back and back again. Let me load Google on this one too. And I'll go back again so it's even here. All right, now we're going to test out Google over there and Google on the Air. So there we go. And you can see how much the difference there is as well. Now let's try it out on the 3 and on the Air 2. So let's try Yahoo. And this one finished a long time ago. Did I not click correctly over there? I probably did not. So let me go back. Let's do that again. And that's very different. I mean, you can see how quickly it loaded the whole page. And, everything's going to look a whole lot better over here. And I can't zoom in right there. But, yeah, I mean, you can see how clear you can kind of see that because there's very little glare. But let's try one more website. Let's try my website. All right, so here we go. We got them ready. And we're going to try to hit go on all of them at the same time. So here, let me move real quick and kind of get in a weird position here. Let me see if I can do this. It's probably not going to work, but... Oh, yes, it worked. Here we go. And it looks like... Wow, it actually looks like that one actually made it first to that website. And then this one. But this one scrolled first, so actually this one probably loaded the whole website first. Let's see which one scrolls it. Yep, so this one's first. These two are kind of even on the scrolling thing, so they probably got there around the same time. But yeah, let's see the scrolling here, how smooth it is. I mean, there's not much of a difference. This one feels maybe a little bit snappier. Honestly, there's not much of a difference here with this scrolling. I mean, it's just, the difference is really how it looks, how perfect this looks right here. and in terms of the colors. And it might just be that the brightness is maybe a little bit off. So they're pretty much both the same, but compared to the iPad 3, you're getting a whole different thing here. I mean, over here, this white almost looks a little bit yellowish, and we're basically at the same brightness. If I turn it up, I mean, it doesn't really change. And yeah, I mean, the glare is amazing on this one, and you have to kind of see it to believe it. Well, let me see if I could show it to you real quick. And let me grab this. And right there. Let's see if I can show you both of them moving at the same time. I don't know, maybe right there. You can see the computer on this one, but not on this one very well. There you go. I think that's a fair comparison. You can kind of see it, but not really. On the other one, you can. So there you go. You kind of get an idea of how the glare is and that. But yeah, guys, that's honestly it for this video. There wasn't much to it. And yeah, I will catch you guys in the next one for sure.